All right. Yay. Hi, everyone. Okay. So I have three rock stars that I'm going to have just chat a little bit tonight. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's very relaxed. I don't want to make anyone nervous. It's just us chatting away, just sharing tips. That's what we do, right? That's what I want us to be doing as a team is sharing tips and, sharing what's working for us. Like that's what we do. That's what leaders do. And it doesn't matter what your rank is. It doesn't matter if you're day one, you're a leader, right? If you're sharing and you're bringing the whole team together, you're a leader. So I have three people that I asked to speak tonight, that have just been working super hard, like signing people, just like inspiring me. And so I wanted them to speak a little bit, because I know that you hear from me and Courtney and Kim, but you guys are doing it. And even though when I was, newer, I was like, what do I have to share? But you guys have so many things that you're doing, and maybe someone else has said it before, but maybe the way that you say it is going to click with someone and they're going to get it. That happened to me all the time. I would hear something over and over again and someone else would say it and I'd be like, oh, makes so much sense. So I'm going to have Jill go first, and then I'm going to have Melissa speak, and then I'm going to have Whitney go. So just a few quick questions. This isn't going to take super long. If you have questions for any of them while we're talking, you can use the chat group. Otherwise, like when we're all done, like we can take questions, if you guys want to. If you have extra stuff that you want to specifically ask someone or whatever, you can let us know. Okay, I guess, can you unmute? I can unmute you.
You can? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So most of you might know Jill. She's amazing. So I have four questions, and I'm going to ask all of them the same four questions, and you're probably going to hear different answers from all four of them, or from all three of them, which I love. Okay. So number one, Jill, why'd you join?
Okay. So let me take it back a little bit. I'm going to talk about my story and why I joined. So about almost 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years in February, I had just moved into this house with Dalton. We were just dating and he asked me to move in and I was so pumped. I'm like, yes, like finally out on my own. But I didn't realize that meant like my mom didn't pay for my shampoo and conditioner, my soap. My mom didn't pay for my groceries. My mom didn't pay for my rent. It was all me and Dalton, but I had a portion of it too. And so I was then picking up more babysitting jobs. At the time, I was a part-time teacher's assistant. It was like from like 8 in the morning till 11:30, and then I would leave work and go to another job, and then from babysitting I would then go to school at night. So it was just constant. And I just remember calling my dad one day saying like, there's not enough hours in the day, but I'm not making it by. Like I'm having to ask for money. I'm having to, think of getting another job, but there's just not enough hours in the day. What am I supposed to do? And he always says like, you'll think of something, you'll make it work. It's not a big deal, like whatever. So I was with this family that I was nannying for, and they were great in the beginning. And then all of a sudden they just started like using and abusing everything that I did for them. They would say that they would be home by 5, and then 11 o'clock at night they would come home, and I had to leave work at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So 11 o'clock at night, like I was supposed to be in bed. There were certain times where I had asked them to please be home at a certain time because I had something to do that night, and they just wouldn't show up for hours. So, and then they would forget to pay me or not pay me. So, I mean, that's the money that I'm relying on. And so finally one day I was just done. I was so done with dealing with people, being on someone else's time, cooking dinner for someone else's family, but not mine. I was just done. And I was following this girl from South Carolina on Instagram, and she was posting about how she was using these products, and she looked so good. She had 2 babies, and I'm like, dang, like I don't look like that, because the dollar menu from McDonald's was what I lived on because I didn't have money. And so I was like, wow, why does she look like that? How does she look like that? But also I was seeing that she was working from home and raising her babies from home by also working. So I was like, what is she doing? So I joined because I was done. I was done with being overworked. I was done with being used. I was done with just, putting my life on the back burner for someone else to live theirs. And so I finally reached out to her and I said, what are you doing? And she told me, I originally asked for the product side of it. I wanted to know how she looked so good. Oh, I was desperate for something in health, like needing to improve my health. And so I asked her, and then finally I said, are you making money? And she said, yeah. And I said, no, but like, are you making real money? And she said, yes, I'm making real money. And so I said, all right. I had left my check at work by accident on Friday. And by Monday, when that check hit my bank account, I signed up and I was ready to go. So that's why I joined, because I was done.
I muted myself. I was so into what you were saying. Okay. And what I think is fun is that, your enroller quit eventually. Mm-hmm. And you are still here, still rock and rolling, still going at full speed. So I think that says something huge about you. Okay.
My enroller quit, and then her upline quit. And so my next upline is Court. And thank God for her.
Courtney adopts everyone. Top 3 things you do each day for your business.
Yeah. Okay. So the most important, so I do a variety of different things every day, but the top 3 things that I do daily is self-development. And this is something that I've added in this last year. People would say, oh, self-development. I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. But I'm not a reader. I never have been. I'll read 20 pages and then I get to that 20th page and I say, what did I just read? How I've always been my entire life. And so I learned audiobooks, and I have an hour commute to work, to and from. So 2 hours I'm in the car. And so I listen to podcasts. I listen to books. I listen to whatever anyone tells me that sets their soul on fire. So I'm like, okay, give it to me. So that self-development part is huge. It's changed my life in so many ways. It's changed my life. And then so I kind of put that in with accountability too. I thrive off of accountability. I like working with other people. I like hearing what other people are doing. So oftentimes for my self-development, I'll watch YouTube training videos or YouTube videos that other leaders are posting so that I can kind of learn what they're doing. So sometimes I'll count that as self-development because it's feeding into me. The second thing that I do every single day is posting. So that's posting stories. That's posting on my feed, on my wall, or on my Instagram. We've changed a lot in this last year. We used to post like 6 to 8 times a day, and working full time, that was hard, but we set it up, we made it work. But now I try really hard to post one good content thing a day on my feed. And then what I do is I copy and paste it, and I don't share it to Facebook, but I copy and paste what I post on Instagram to Facebook. There are times where I'll change it up. But posting, and then number 3 is messaging. I message every single day. There's no excuses for that. Even if, like, for example, yesterday was a holiday, I wasn't going to be messaging for people to sign up and join me, but I was messaging saying happy holidays. I was in people's inboxes, sending people happy birthdays, but messaging every single day is so important. So yeah, those are my 3 things.
You're messaging for customers, distributors, both?
Both. So I usually try and do a poll a day. And I'll message the people that take the poll. What I do is I send a screenshot of the poll that they took. I'll send that, and then I'll send a message saying, hey, Jackie, thank you so much for taking my poll. I'd love to give you more information on this, or I'd love to get your hands on these products. How does that sound? Always ending in a question. And then if, say, someone didn't take my poll, then I message for distributors, because then that way, if they say, oh, I'm not really interested in looking into the business side, then I can bring up the customer side, which you can do also for customers too. If they're not interested in the customer side, then you can say, well, would you like to make money? It just depends on, but I guess both, but yeah.
Cool. So when they say, no, I'm not interested in being a distributor, you just say, oh, well, I
ask why. I always ask why. I used to, in the beginning, when my mind wasn't right, this is where the whole self-development comes in. In the beginning, when someone would say no, I'd be like, okay, and then quickly exit out, pretend like it never happened. But now I ask why. And one time, out of this entire time that I've been in this business, someone has been rude to me. That's it. When I asked why. One time, that's it. Usually someone will give you a reason, and usually their reason is because they have no idea what I'm doing. Right? They have no idea, or they're throwing some excuse. And guys, I throw it right back at them because most of the time it's, I'm busy, I'm in college. Some girl told me the other day she can't do this because she's a teacher. And I said, no way, I am too. What grade do you teach? So like, I can communicate with them in that way, because when they're giving excuses, and I send them the video that I personally made about all the excuses that I thought about too, and how I overcame those excuses. So I always ask why. And just one time someone said, why can't no just be a reason enough? And I said, I hope you have a great holiday. And I blocked her. So
usually when someone's like that, it's a reflection of them, not of us. So.
Exactly. And like I said, self-development, because I would probably, if I wasn't doing self-development, I probably would have cried, because I'm a sensitive person that way. But I was like, man, let's pray for them. And I did. So.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Number 3, my question is, how do you keep going with your business when you don't feel like working your business that day? Something happens, you're in a bad mood, you're in a funk, I don't know, whatever happens.
To be honest, there have been a lot of tough days, and something that brings me joy is being able to help other people. And so when I am having a tough day, I tend to work to like not think about what's going on in life. But there have been times, but I found that my why pushes me. And if your why doesn't push you, then you need to rethink about what it is as the reason why you're doing this. Because there have been times, especially in the beginning, that my why wasn't strong enough. And there were days where I just sat and did nothing except for scroll on Facebook, and I thought I was working. So there have been days, but that's when I like reevaluate, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, if your why isn't pushing you, it's not strong enough. But also I this keeps tying back into everything, but self-development, you guys, like that, it gets your mind so right that you don't have these times where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, well, I guess you do, but they teach you, depending on what type of self-development you're doing, but it teaches you to like overcome and conquer those times in your life when you don't want to get up and do it. For example, like going to the gym, like that is hard for me, but I know that once I get there and I do it, I'm going to feel better. I know that once I sit down and accountability and think, as call Jackie or call Courtney, call Ashley, call anyone on this team and say, hey, let's get on a Zoom, let's get to work. And I get to work, I know that I'm in my element, and I know that I'm going to feel better at the end. And so when I sit here and sometimes think, you know, today's been a really hard day, I don't want to do it, I let myself have a minute, and then I call whoever will get on a Zoom or whoever will do something with me and get to work. And it's taken me a little while to get there. It has. I mean, I've been in this for almost 3 years now, and a year ago I probably wouldn't have said that. But a year ago I also wasn't doing self-development every day. A year ago I didn't have this amazing team that I have now that I can lean on all the time. So, yeah.
Okay, one simple tip that you found that has been instrumental to signing people that you might think is small but will probably be huge to someone else.
So I thought about this one when you asked me for a little while, because I was like, one tip. And it's something so simple that we just always overthink it, and it's following up. Okay. There have been so many times where I follow up with someone and they're like, oh my God, you totally slipped my mind, but like, yes, or oh my God, I totally didn't see that message, but yeah, let's do it. But in our minds, we're thinking like, oh, they saw our message. They don't want to do it. I don't know. I don't want to reach out to them again. But just that following up has been so, especially this year, and staying organized with follow-ups has been so detrimental to my business in enrolling. Even just following up by saying, hey, like, how's your day? Or looking at their feeds, like commenting on something that they're doing, saying happy holidays. Then they realize that they haven't answered your message, and that's a follow-up. So following up has been huge this year, staying organized in that and actually using that action.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Jill's an enrolling queen, man. Okay. She also has, her and Courtney are like my wording people. I'm like, sometimes I get stumped or my brain is overthinking it, something simple. And I'm like, what do I say? And that's why we have the team page, you guys. Like if you ever feel like you're stuck and you're like, I don't know what to say, and you feel like you can't reach out to someone, just put it on the team page and we'll help you answer it. So thank you.
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to have Melissa go next. So Melissa, you started in June, July. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Hold on. Where are you? Melissa, there you are. Unmute. Okay. July?
Yeah, June.
Yeah. June. Okay, June. Okay, Melissa, I met Melissa through Instagram. It was through Instagram, right? I think so. I think it originally started on Instagram and then we moved to Facebook. And Melissa was someone else's loyal customer, someone else that I guess wasn't working the business or didn't contact you. I don't know.
No.
So sweet little Melissa would always come ask me questions. She never switched to being my customer, you guys, but she'd always ask me questions. And, she's so nice. And we just became friends. And I was like, I'll just answer her. And eventually she became a distributor. And she is one of the hardest working people on my team. And I say that with complete sincerity. She works harder than most people that I know. So I'm going to ask you why you joined, but also just in case you're not going to say this, I want you to tell us you work full time.
Yes.
You have a little girl.
Okay. So, yes. I actually started and I didn't know really my why. And I just recently found out my why. So I work full time as a cook. I work very early in the morning. So I'm up at the crack of dawn, usually about 3:30. I have a little 3-year-old that runs around crazy. We all know how that is. And why I joined was I was very unhappy in my life, just health-wise. And I don't even know what really brought me. I think it was a keto coffee that I really started seeing you post it. And I tried it. And actually just today I went back into my messages to see how I even brought up about starting this. And it was nonchalantly, I was like, you had said something about the business. And I was like, yeah, I could see myself doing that. And then literally the next message, we're like, okay, how about we start this? So it wasn't something I really thought about in the beginning. I didn't start this thinking, I should just make the extra income. I did it for the health of myself. And then I just kind of got into it.
I love that. Our why has changed so much too. I feel like when I started, I didn't have a strong why, and then I figured out a why as I caught a vision from someone, and then it changes constantly. So thank you. You are very busy and you work super hard regardless. Okay, so top 3 things you do each day, even if it's the same things that Jill said or one of the same things or whatever, top 3 things you do for your business each day.
So first thing when I first started this business, I started doing inspirational and motivational quotes every day. I didn't realize until a good month or 2 in that I did it honestly for myself. It was kind of a self-development. I remember when Jackie had brought it up to me, I kind of questioned it, self-development. What is that? I never knew anything about it. So I would say that is definitely something that I do. I mean, I'm a very routine person, so I, not to get into too much story, but I go into work and I will sit in my car for 15 to 20 minutes, call me crazy, and I will look for a nice quote or I will save it the day before and just recap on how my day was the day before, what I can make better. And I didn't even realize I was doing this as a self-development. So that's my number one thing. And on top of that, I started a journal. So that ties into self-development. I also do a keto post every day. I just started that probably 2 months ago because I've always heard from Jackie and others that consistency is key. So every morning I make sure I post about my keto coffee because I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And I have people that constantly say stuff about my keto coffee, but won't like or comment stuff on my Facebook or Instagram, but they do see it. So it's I guess that ghost followers you call. So that's my second thing. I would say my pole would be my second too, because I guess 4 main things I do is the inspirational, so self-development, keto, coffee with my pole. And then I also do messaging. I just started that recently and I didn't realize how much like following up does. Perfect example, after you messaged me this morning to interview me, I had a loyal customer just sign with me that I messaged her last month, and I probably messaged her like 4 or 5 times. And then it got to the point after like the third time, she wasn't messaging me back, but she was like so like interested, I could tell. But I don't know if this is a self-development, but I have something switched in my head that I'm like, if I'm going to be that annoying, someone's going to come out and tell me, and then maybe I'll stop. And I was at work, and when I clocked out, she had messaged me saying, I'm so ready for this cleanse. Should I add the keto coffee? So when I got out of work, this was hours later, and I already got an email that she signed. And I looked back and I didn't even bring up coffee to her once in the message. So she must have seen it on like my post. So I was like so excited to see that. And I'm like, it's good to do that. So that would be the 3 or 4.
I love it. Consistency. You're like the queen of consistency. She's always asking for help, following up. She's always following up. I know she is, because she's always like, okay, what do I say for this? What do I say for this? You know, and like learning and just taking it all in. And I've seen her grow so much. Like she does self-development, and she was very shy and introverted, just like me. And I started, and she's getting out of her comfort zone. I'm glad she said yes to doing this, but I've seen you grow so much, and I am so proud of you, because that's what it takes, you know, to be successful with anything is growth. So, okay. How do you keep going? And Melissa's had some things happen since she's joined this business too, some personal stuff. And you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but like, how do you keep going when you just don't feel like working your business that day, that week, whatever?
Okay. So I will go into a little detail. So I started in June, mid-June. My mother-in-law was very sick with cancer. And she just took the downhill road really quick. I remember July 4th came and I was all happy. And the next day she got admitted into the hospital. And either way, like it was rough. I went through a whole time that I remember sitting there the morning that she passed, and my husband went to see her, and I was by myself. My daughter was sleeping, obviously. And I don't know why, but I was like, I got to message Jackie. I want to do this. And I know she would want me to do this, but I need time. And I just remember coming up with messaging you saying, you know, this is something I want, but I need time. So then I wanted to say a week went by, but I think it was actually a couple days. And then I finally messaged you like, all right, I'm ready to go back in. I don't know what got me to, but like I said, ever since I've joined and I started using the products, I feel like I kind of fit in. So stuff like that's my definitely number one. If I can go through something like that and bounce back, then I can do it. And this is kind of weird, but my full-time job has been very chaotic. Unfortunately, I'm very unhappy there, but it pushes me to work this business so I don't have to live unhappy every day. So that's another big push.
Thank you. Okay. One simple tip that you probably think is simple that's been instrumental for you signing people.
So I'm going to agree with Jill, because that's exactly what happened today, the follow-up. I mean, she just kind of messaged me. Hours went by. I never messaged her. I mean, she signed literally like probably 10 minutes after she first messaged me. I never responded because I was working, but she still signed. So, I mean, if I didn't message her all those times, like I remember when I first started, I was petrified to message people, or even like I remember asking Jackie, like, oh, should I bring up the business? And now it's like I get to a point that I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to ask them. And if they don't want to, they don't want to. And, so definitely a follow-up.
Love it. I have people that have messaged me and been like, can you please follow up with you? Like, can you please make sure to keep on me because I really want to do this or I really want to buy it. And life is chaotic, I even tell people that. I'm like, if you don't hear from me in like a month, can you just get back with me? Because I probably forgot. And that's how people are. They just are so busy. We think that they're focused on us. And we all, right, when we're posting, sometimes we think like, oh, we're annoying. And a lot of people, when they're new, they think that. I get it. I was there. But people aren't focused on you and your life. Like, they're focused on their own lives. And like Melissa said, she's consistent every day with posting about her keto coffee. Some might think like, oh my gosh, they're going to be annoyed by seeing my keto coffee. But she is helping people because they're able to get the coffee and change their lives with it because she's posting about it every single day. So
I think that's more of a thing. I guess it's not a bad thing to think that way, but like, if I get to a point that someone thinks I'm like really that annoying, then defriend me or block me. I don't.
Or they'll just be like, I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
I'd ask people that, like, if you're not interested, you could tell me no, like, it's okay, but just let me know, most of the time they're like, oh, no, I am, but I'm busy, pay bills, I have to do all this stuff, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
Oops, I just muted myself. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to Whitney. Hi, Whitney. Okay. I'm going to ask you all the same questions. Are you unmuted? Did you unmute yourself? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Whitney, why did you join?
I wrote my stuff down because I talk a lot. So, my why was because I went from working full-time, 9 to 5, to my husband joining the Army, and we had to move from our hometown to Texas. That's where we're living now. And I went from like working to not bringing in any income. We had just Dominic. Now he's 3, and now we have 2 babies, but we just had Dom, and he was like 10 months old. I was at home, not bringing any money, and I felt like I was happy, but I also felt guilty because I wasn't bringing in any income, and my husband was like always at work. And I knew that I needed to do something, but I was also like newly pregnant with my daughter, and now she's 1. And so I knew that I needed to do something, and not so much a friend, but like someone that I knew from my high school, she did at work, and I think she like messaged me about joining while I was working that full-time job, and I told her like I didn't have time. It just wasn't something that I had looked into or saw myself doing at all. And so she followed up, which is like, you have to follow up. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm pregnant. Like, I'm not working. I'm a stay-at-home mom. This would help me to stay home and bring in some money. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm interested. I don't have the money right now, but I want to do this. And so I think I started that same day, and I borrowed the money from my sister. That's how I started. I borrowed the money from my sister, and I think I just used her card, and like I enrolled, and from like then on, like I was posting every single day. But that was what I needed. Like, I needed to be able to bring in some money and be able to afford, like, because we couldn't even afford gas sometimes. Like, we were borrowing like $20 from family. Like, they would just send it over to us, and we couldn't afford gas sometimes. And he's Army, like, they don't get paid that much. People think they get paid a lot. They don't get paid that much. So to afford gas, like, we're about to have another baby, diapers, wipes. That was why I joined.
So 2 things stick out to me. One, she asked you the first time when you were still working full time, right? Mm-hmm. And so then things changed, right? And then you weren't working. So what I think is really important, because this is the same thing that happened with Courtney and I when she asked me, and I said no to her because I was working full time and I was in a good spot, and then it changed, right? Every few months, people's lives change. Typically, every few months something happens. And so that's why when someone says no to me today, I'm gonna keep in contact with them, or maybe not right now, what they say, whatever they say, and in a few months things might change for them. Maybe could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, it doesn't matter, but things will eventually change and they will eventually be in a spot where this might be for them. So that was number one. I knew I was going to forget the second thing that you said, like triggered something in my brain. I was like, I need to ask you about that. I'll think of it.
Another thing I want to add, though, I wish I would have started while I was still working, because I was literally talking to I was a teller at a credit union, and I would see so many people like face to face every single day. And that was a heck of a lot of potentials that I like missed out on.
Love it. And I feel like when I was working full time, people would come to me like, I don't have time. It's like, oh, well, I work full time too. I got that less. I got that just as much, I guess. But I don't know. It's easier when you're like working and you're like, yeah, so am I. And I'm still doing this. Let's do it. Okay. If I think of the other thing, then I'll come back to you. But I know it's okay. What are the top 3 things that you do each day for your business?
Top 3 things. What everybody else said was really good too. So I didn't even think of some of those. But stories are big for me. Stories would probably be number 1 because I do a lot with my stories. Now, since I have the Unfold app, I do like a story like several that kind of go together the night before. I make it the night before, and then I'll post it like in the morning. Or even that night, so that it'll last like all day until nighttime. And then I interact with stories. I interact on my stories, and I see who, because you know how you add people. I've noticed that I'm only following some people, like they didn't accept my friend request, so I'm able to see like who's not even seeing my post, so I'll unfollow them because I'm seeing their post, but they're not seeing mine. So, and when you do that, you can't even like message them through their story. So that's how I see like who I'm not friends with. So I message with my story, interact, and then I post my stories. I do polls on my stories, and then I follow up. I make hundreds lists. I look at who watches my stories. When you post stories, there's like a little blue thing, and there's like a number, and that's who's watching your story. I click it, and this list comes up. And I get maybe, I think the most I've ever gotten was like a little over 200 viewers on my story. So I click that, I write their names down because that's who's watching me. So I use that to follow up. And I'll just message like what Jillian said, like just happy birthday, happy holidays. I just get in their inbox. So when I do message them for like a host to post or a sale or whatever, I've already messaged them so that I've established some type of relationship. And then I message those that watch me. So those are mine. Like I'm big with the stories and then posting every day and I'm bad at consistency with like some things. I need to work on that, but I'm big with like stories.
Thank you. I think stories are huge too. Okay. Oh, and someone it was Hannah. She's still on here? Yes, there you are. She was the one that told me about putting the hashtags behind your words and hiding them, which I didn't realize until she told me that. And so whenever I do like keto coffee story, I'll put the hashtag keto, whatever, keto diet or keto recipes does really well. And then if you're writing like having a poll or writing something, you could literally make them small, the hashtag small, and put them behind your words. So they're hidden and you get so many more views. I did that today with cleanse. I think I put like hashtag vegan, got quite a few for cleanse. I'm trying it out, but anyway, that was good stuff. I love stories. Okay. Number 3, how do you keep going when you don't feel like working your business that day?
So I have a lot of days where things can get kind of crazy over here. So my kids are a huge why for me, and my dream home is a huge why for me because after the Army and after everything, we're gonna move back home, and I want us to build our dream home. And my mom, we already talked about like my mom moving in with us, like us living together. So that's a huge why for me. My mom actually has something called myasthenia gravis, and it's an autoimmune disease that there's no cure. And she's like a huge why for me. And like once I'm ambassador, I want to like be able to donate to like Myasthenia Gravis Foundation. And so she's a huge why for me. And I talk to her like every day, and she's like my why I keep going. And then my aunt Melanie, like I want to get her out of her job because I know that she does not like her job at all. Don't cry. I see her like tearing up. So my aunt, my mom, my kids, my husband, I want to get him away from the Army, so no more deployments. And I have a dream board. I write stuff down on this board, and those are like huge like motivators for me. That's why I have to keep going.
I love it. So you use your why, and you just like thinking about like what is the future. And I love that about you, because like most of us are thinking right now. We're like stuck in the present, and it's hard for us most of the time to be thinking that the future could be different from our present, but it totally can. Like you decide, right? You decide if you want to stay right here where you are this time next year, or if you want to be way ahead this time next year based on, continuing on and all that stuff. Okay. Thank you. So one simple tip that you found that has been instrumental for signing people.
For me, just being like super open and honest about the business, because people ask me questions like all the time, so I always make sure I answer their questions, and I tell them like everything about the business. I know Emily's listening. Her video is not on, but she asked me for the promo that we just had, like she asked me question. She's like, sorry, I'm asking you so many questions. And I'm like, no, that's good. I want you to ask me questions. That's how you're going to be successful. Like, you want to know everything. I'm going to tell you everything. There's not going to be any like surprises. Give this a try, work at it, like ask me questions and tell me like what you need help with. I will help you. I'll help you with what to post, like anything. I'll tell you, like, just tell me and I'll tell you. And so that's been really, really big for me. And just being open, honest, and real, and why I did this. So I think that's been huge for me.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. You inspire me very much. Okay. So I know that we had one question. If you have any questions, we can totally stay on for a little bit longer and answer some things. If you have anything that you're like, I want to know about this, or I need something, whatever, you can ask it in the chat or whatever. Jamie was asking you, how does the hashtag thing work? So I will show you. I'll attempt to show you. I don't know how well. It doesn't like to pick up my phone very well on the screen, but okay. So actually, let me go find a picture. All right, we'll just use a random picture. Okay, we're just going to pretend like this is a coffee photo, even though it's not. So say that I'm going to do a poll, right? I'm on my Insta stories right now. I'm picking the poll option. I'm going to put, heck yes, I want that keto coffee, or send me info. Okay, so there's my poll. So pretend like that's keto coffee and pretend like that's a poll. I know you can't really see it, but it's there. There you go. So for keto coffee, the ones that have worked for me the best. So I just clicked the little type, like the A, just to type normally, not to use the actual hashtags. I know you can like click hashtag, but it only lets you do one hashtag. So I never realized you can do multiple hashtags. So you just click as if you're normally writing on the photo with a little text. And I'll say hashtag keto recipes. See, just like I'm typing normal, but it pops up down here. So then I click keto recipes, and I can make it, doesn't matter, I guess, what color you make it, but all it says is hashtag keto recipes, right? And so I can make it small. Oh, hold on, press done. I can make it smaller and just stick it like right there, let's just say. And then I can go back and I can do hashtag. So these are, I guess you could do them, no, I think you have to do them separately. Hashtag, let's do keto diet. So it popped up right here. So hashtag keto diet. So now I have two hashtags. You can do, you can do more, I'm sure, but yeah. That's the other thing. Now that you can make the picture bigger and smaller, it always messes with the picture. But so there are two hashtags right there, right? You can kind of see them-ish. They're there. They're white. They're right there. So all I have to do is move this right over them, and you don't even know that they're there. So you can't see them. So they're completely hidden. So your picture looks really pretty because you can't even see them, but they're there and they're effective. And so you'll notice when you go, I'll show you my one from today from the cleanse. So on this one, it's actually a video of me talking, but underneath this poll, I actually do have 2 hashtags. And so you can see right here, maybe you can kind of see how it says vegan story. It says hashtag vegan story right there. And so you can see how many views you get from each hashtag. And I don't know why. Some of the time it doesn't actually activate. Hannah and I have talked about this. Sometimes it doesn't get put into the hashtag land. I don't know. Majority of the time it does, but sometimes I'll be like, wait a minute, I did 2 hashtags. Why didn't it come up? And so maybe Hannah knows like the specific answer, but sometimes it just doesn't, I don't know, go in there. But most of the time it does. So I do it every single time that I feel like I could use a hashtag. Yeah, algorithm, who knows? That's what Hannah says. So, but she's the one that gave me this. So that's for almost 500 extra viewers for this than I had before. And when I do hashtag like keto diet, hashtag keto recipes especially, I get like a few thousand extra viewers. So, and it's just for that one story. So it's not like if you have a bunch like you're clicking through, do it on the one that you like have the poll on, or I guess you could do them on all of them. But I feel like you have a better chance if you maybe just do one of them. So that's the surprise. That's the, yeah. It's been awesome. And I've gotten people that I'm not following and they're not following me and they just find me because of that. So yeah. It probably only works if you're public, Ashley. I'm assuming because that's how hashtags work. So I think only if you're private, only people that are actually following you can search through the hashtag for you. So yeah. Okay. Can scripts in the group, scripts for follow-up when people ignore you. Yes. We'll post them in the group because if I post them here, then you won't be able to get them back. But yeah, so scripts for follow-up. Oh, please, let me look that down. Any other questions I didn't see? Okay. Yeah. Scripts. And I know that there have been, I don't know how many, for people that haven't ignored you, but I know that there's some scripts in that album, the photo album with the different wording and stuff. But yeah.
I'm unmuting myself for a second. For like scripts too, whenever I end a message, I really am trying to be like, so like on this, and I've been doing this for a while now, but whenever I message someone, I always try and end it with a question, because then the follow-up is just comes like you re-ask that question in a different way, or even reiterate the same question. That way you're kind of not overthinking the follow-up. So like even like something as simple as, how does that sound? And you can re-message, hey Jackie, I was just curious how that sounded, or is there anything else I can answer you, or are you ready to get this? That way you can just re-ask that question in a different way. I know that that's something that we all try and do, but I've been really trying to be mindful of that so that when the follow-up comes, it's not hard. But yeah, we can always send scripts too.
Something that I say a lot, the first time that they just ignore me, even if say I've asked a question, whatever, I followed up and they ignore me, I'll say, did my last message come through, with a question mark? I say that a lot. And sometimes they answer me, sometimes they don't. And then I might go, hope I didn't offend you, question mark, you know, or maybe I don't even go back to that, because then I feel like I almost don't have anywhere to go if they don't answer me. I mean, I do use that a lot, but I can just go back and maybe just say, hey, how was your holiday, or whatever, something totally unrelated to it works. And then even if they don't answer me there, I still feel like at least I had something where I was like trying to get in touch with them in a normal way. And then I can just go back to hey, did you still want the cleanse? You know, like, I still have a spot this month. Did you still want the cleanse?
The great thing with Instagram too is a lot, like most people use the story option. So even if you say like, hey, did I offend you? But they don't answer. Sometimes if you respond to their story, it's like you're commenting on their story and then they're like, oh my gosh, I never saw that. No, I didn't offend you. I've done that a couple times. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah. There was something else. I forget. I don't know. Things going out of my mind so easily. Okay. Any other questions before we
I
close
was
it
going to
up?
chime in just on the script thing. Like, you know, we all will share, we're happy to share our scripts. Like, that's not a thing at all. What I think is really important is to like just let your personality shine. And so 2 ways that I like to do that is either through voice memos, which is working like amazingly for me right now, and Instagram. If you don't know, just like enabled that feature so you can send voice memos on Instagram. And I think people hear your personality and they're not just seeing another message from another MLM, you know what I mean? Because there are people out there who, you know, especially if they're like in, let's say, the 24 to 28-year-old age range, I feel like they're probably getting bombarded by messages. And I just think right now, like, authenticity, whether it's through your voice or your personality and your message, is really important. So voice memos, but also I like to literally say out loud a follow-up and see if it sounds like me. Because if I go, hey girl, you know, saw, like I did this the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that was so not me. Why did I just say that? I was like, hey girl, I just submitted an order for a cleanse and it made me think of you, you know, is today the day, or something like that. And I'm like, I would never say that person to person. So kind of, you know, talk it out, look at yourself in the mirror. I practiced so much in front of a mirror when I started this business because it made me really uncomfortable, but it also made me hear myself and hear, you know, how the words kind of flowed. So I think that's really important, just making your messages sound like you and not sound like a robot or a script or very generic. You know what I mean? Just put a twist in there that's totally you. That's why I love voice memos, because I can, even though it's planned, I can make it sound quirky and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous sending this to you, because I am a nervous person and they know that if they follow me. And so anyway, those are 2 tips I have on follow-up.
Thank you. I love it. I think voice memos like are the most authentic that you can get. And Courtney would always tell me, pretend like you're talking to your best friend. What would you say? You know? And so I always try to keep that in mind when I'm doing my messages too, is like, if I was talking to my best friend, how would I say it? And so that's how you should say it. But yes. But yeah, we'll give you some ideas just so you can kind of like get your thoughts going and get inspired, and then you'll be able to make it your own. Any other questions? Since you have us here. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you, but thank you so much. Thank you to Jill and Whitney and Melissa for being on here. I appreciate you guys so much. And thanks for everyone for being here. I mean, for giving up, you know, an hour, whatever, 50 minutes of your time tonight to be here with us. Like, I feel like when I see people on Zooms, granted, like, you know, people have a lot of stuff going on. I realize sometimes, like, Amy's in the UK and she can't always be in our Zooms, but at the same time, like, y'all are making the time to be here, and we appreciate that so much. And that's kind of how we see like who is running, because you're here, you're in the fire, you're doing it with us. And so anyway, it's going to be a great year. 2019 is going to be amazing. I'm starting like today, like today's January 1st in my head. So we're all running together. Oh yes, question, Rachel, go. You can type it or say it. She's typing. I can see her going over there. Oh, you missed the interview. It's okay. I recorded it. It's all recording. So yeah, I will put it on YouTube as it like downloads, and I'll put it in YouTube and I'll put it in the team page. You can rewatch it. So yeah, it's okay. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here. Okay. Bye, guys.